Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to our very first cursive writing lesson. So, part of being in third grade is that we get to learn how to write in cursive. So before we get started, I want to remind you about how we learned how to write in print. Think back to when you first learned to hold a pencil or a crayon. You were probably around 2, 3, maybe even 4 years old when you learned to hold your pencil, right? And some of you held it wrong, right? And sometimes we held it all funky. But when we finally learned how to hold the pencil correctly, by the time you were in kindergarten, you learned how to make your letters as neat as you could, right? For most of us, it took 2, 3 years because fine motor is hard. Fine motor just means detailed in writing. So as you learn cursive, I want you to remember that this is a growth mindset. No one's going to ask you to write a whole letter in cursive tomorrow, but by learning to write in cursive also allows you to learn to read in cursive. And then now you'll always know what's on your mom's shopping list. And you can read the Constitution. And one day you'll be able to sign your name and buy your first car. Okay, so you're going to need this for this lesson, a whiteboard and a marker and a growth mindset. Now today we're not going to be learning letters, we're going to be learning different types of lines that create our letters. So first thing we want to do is create a tall loop. So here's my line. And if you'll watch, I'm going to hold my pencil and I'm going to start at the line, start down, I'm going to slant up and loop around. Okay, so I'm going to show you that again. Up and loop. Okay, just practice that a few times. And then I want us to make a whole line of tall loops. And you're going to make them where your pencil doesn't come off the ground, the paper. So cursive is a fast way to write because our pencil doesn't leave the word until it's time to dot I's or cross T's or dot J's, whatever. Okay, so what we're going to do is tall loop, tall loop, tall loop. And you're just going to make a bunch of tall loops. Tall loop, tall loop, tall loop. Just practice that. Go ahead and pause the video and just practice making tall loops. Try not to make them too wide. You want to make them not super skinny, but you want them to have just a small loop in the middle. Okay? All right, hopefully you were able to practice our tall loop letters. And now you're ready for the second type, not letters, sorry, lines. Now you're ready for the second type of line. The second type of line is just a short loop. So it's like this, here's my line. And instead of going all the way up like our tall line, we're just gonna do short ones. I'm just gonna show you again, you're just making them shorter. They're exactly the same thing, you just wanna try to make it about halfway of where your line is. So it's unfortunate that we're online learning this because if we were in the classroom, we would have our beautiful handwriting paper and we could practice making these lines over and over and over. But we're going to continue to do the best that we can because we have a growth mindset and a positive attitude, and we can learn to do cursive even through videos and remote learning. So here's my line. If I make a tall loop, I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to go all the way up to the top and then down. Now if I want to make a short loop, I'm going to think about where would about halfway between my lines be. That's where my short loop is going to that's where the top of the short loop is going to hit, halfway. Just like lowercase letters are about halfway in your lined paper, this loopy line needs to be about halfway when you practice. So pause the video and practice your short loopy lines. All right, now here's a challenge. I want you to try doing tall loop, short loop, tall loop, short loop, tall loop, short loop, tall loop, short loop, all the way to the end of your paper or the end of your whiteboard, and then erase and try again, okay? Get that flow going. Notice there's no spacing. My pencil never leaves my whiteboard. My marker never leaves the whiteboard. We want to make it a continuous movement. Okay, practice that. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to do retracing lines. When you're doing cursive, a lot of times your marker or pencil goes back over the line that you just made it. You're just going to go backwards or forwards. So, for instance, you might go up and then back down to the line, okay? So, a way to get your brain to remember to retrace is doing these simple little retracing lines. I'm going to try to hold this where you can see it. You're going to go up and back down and up and back down. And if you notice, I'm going straight back on that line that I just created. So you go up, your pencil or marker stays there. You retrace right back down at a slant and then right back up. So it kind of looks like waves, right? We're just going to go up, 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 retrace. Now, I want you to be careful because do you see what happened right here? Did I retrace? No, I did not. So if you start seeing these peaks, then erase and try again. We want them to look like this. Now, even Miss Cheryl, who's been writing in cursive since I was about 10, when I'm practicing these lines, sometimes I get in a hurry and I make these peaks instead of my retrace. So just practice retracing and thinking about the kinds of lines that you're working on. Practice that now by pausing your video. Okay, so let's review. So far we've had 3 kinds of lines. We have had tall loopy lines, short loopy lines, and retracing lines. Now, the 4th kind of line that we're going to learn today is called what I call rocking lines. And it reminds me of the letter C or really cool waves. Okay, so I'm going to show you. So what I mean by rocking, it's almost like you go around and then back around. So instead of just going up and down with retracing, you're retracing in a curves. So it's like this, up and rock back, up and rock back, up and rock back. Now I'm going to get closer and hopefully you can see this. Up, rock, back. It's hard for Miss Cheryl to even see this. Up and rock back. Okay? By practicing rocking over your curved lines, it's going to help you thinking about the letters. So thinking about letters like A and C and G, all of those that have that curve in them. You're going to retrace part of those curves. Thinking about the loopy letters, things like the letter H. The letter H is going to be a tall loopy line and then a hump, right? When you master this tall loop, you've actually already learned the letter L, and if you can do the short loop on a slant, you've mastered the letter E. And we thought we weren't going to be learning any letters yet. Surprise, you just did. So I want you to focus on practicing, retracing, connecting these kinds of lines. There's 4 lines. Tall loop, short loop, retrace straight, and rocking letters. And see, it's just gibberish. It's not real words. It's just practicing those kinds of lines. And in our next lesson, we're going to start in our cursive book. So I know you're dying to open that cursive book and start tracing and learning, but I want you to wait for each instructional video so that you can practice the kind of movements that your pencil needs to make, and then you'll have your workbook to be able to do it and practice it the correct way. I like to tell my students that learning to write in cursive is an art. It's what makes handwriting so beautiful. And when you get good at it, people, your whole entire life, they will comment on it. At the bank, I handed someone my paper and I had signed my name and the lady said, "Oh, you have such lovely handwriting." Why, thank you. So it's one of those things that will always be with you. Just like your math facts, just like learning to read, when you have a pencil or a pen in your hand, you can write and fill things out, and we want your handwriting to be neat and where people can read it and understand it. But also, if you write your grandmother a letter and you write in cursive one day, it's going to warm her heart because grandmas love to see their grandbabies write in cursive. All right, so practice those 4 kinds of lines. You can rewatch the video as many times as you need to, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, friends. Have fun. Oh, don't forget, growth mindset. Bye.